I've had to do this. I feel like the angle ain't whatever, but somebody was like, yo, lighting ain't whatever enough, and this ain't that enough. So I got this whole contraption, ring light, whatever, set up. I'm on my phone. Let's see, I'm gonna open up another booster pack. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I hope I got enough space. There it is, Bloomborough again. I feel like I gotta do this now. Ugh. I don't know why I feel so uncomfortable. I miss my worst lighting and worst webcam on my laptop. The thing about going live on my phone is, though, I just have to remember to make it public after it's over. Oh, I'll turn the chat off. Because there wasn't a way to do subscribers only mode on my phone. And I didn't have time for what happened on the last talk to happen today, so we're just gonna do this real quick. We're gonna see what comes out, and then we'll move on with our days. I am tearing this thing up. All right, so here we go. Doing card backs. First card is a rabbit token. I kind of love this. It reminds me of like the early Pokemon cards. Some of them. It's this. Wow. Look at that. Can you see it? I don't know. It's just so like a harbinger of spring type of energy. Cool. Next we have conduct. I thought it was like conduit. Conduct electricity. It's an instant effect. Conduct electricity deals 6 damage to target creature and 2 damage to up to 1 target creature token. Oh, this little rabbit would be toast. Give me a lightning ride, something I can use as a channel. Raoul called above the mayhem. Nodding, Phineas drew a copper leaf arrow from his from his emptying quiver and shot. Oh wow! And it's like, ooh, you can't see that better. What was I gonna look up? Oh, I'm using my phone. My laptop was like right here. Not my laptop. My iPad. It's fine. I think Phineas wasn't associated with prophecy. I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't think I can pause this. It's fine. Maybe. Oh, this is still so weird to me. I'm like, I can't even look at the middle of the screen because the camera is here, I think. Oh, why am I so nervous today? I am gonna get it. I'll be right back. Sliding out of frame. Where's my iPad? iPhone, iPad, iPhone, iSmack. It was literally just here. But a memento, por favor. I feel like Phineas remember if I think he was associated with prophecy. Oh, I didn't put my phone on. Oh my gosh, it's right here. I did all that moving. I was like, I know it's nearby. I know I shouldn't have to move too far. All right. Who is Phineas? I feel like he was also associated with harpies for some reason. Phineas. What mythology? Okay. In Greek mythology, Phineas was a king of Samodessus in Thrace and seer who appears in accounts of the Argonauts' voyage. So he was a seer. Colchis, yeah, that makes more sense than whatever that other place was. Not his parents. He was blinded in an event that happened as a punishment for either blinding his own sons, giving Phrixus or directions, or revealing the future to mankind. I think that's, and as extra punishment, he was tormented by the harpies, which defiled his food whenever he tried to eat. That's what it was. So, yes, seer and harpies. Hey, I know something, kinda, sorta. I'm just gonna keep rolling with that. When Argo, the ship of Jason, arrived in Thrace, Phineas described his torment to the hero. Among the Argonauts were Phineas's brothers-in-law, the Boreads, who were told by Phineas that they were fated to help him. The Boreads feared the wrath of the gods if they tried to help him, but Phineas reassured them that no harm would come to them. So when the harpies appeared and ate Phineas's food, the Boreads chased them until Iris appeared in front of them. The goddess told them that they should not hunt the harpies anymore, as they would no longer torment Phineas. The Boreads returned to the Argonauts, and Phineas informed them how to safely pass through the Symplegades in order to reach Colchis. Okay. Oof. Tormented for revealing the future to mankind, or blinding his own sons, or giving someone directions. This, what? What? Get out of here. Who is this? The son of King Athamas? A minor. Okay, I don't. Is this where the Golden Fleece comes from? So I was like, who is this Phrixus? It's the son of a king and a minor goddess. He had a twin sister named Hel, Helle. Both of them were hated by their stepmother, Ino, who made a scheme to get rid of them. She took all crop seeds in the region and roasted them so that they wouldn't grow. When the farmers went into despair for not being able to grow their crops, they decided to ask the oracle for advice. Ino bribed the men who were sent to the oracle and told them to say that the oracle asked for the sacrifice of Phrixus and Hel. As the twins were about to be sacrificed, their mother sent a flying golden ram to save them. During the flight, though, Hel looked towards the earth, lost her balance, and fell into the sea below, where she drowned. Since then, that particular area has been called Hellespont, Sea of Hell. Phrixus continued flying and eventually reached Colchis, where he was kindly accepted by King Aeetes and gave his daughter Chalciope as his bride. Grateful, Phrixus sacrificed the ram to Zeus and offered the golden fleece to Aeetes, who took it and placed it in a garden to be guarded by a never sleeping dragon. This golden fleece was the object of desire for Jason, who later organized the Argonautic expedition to retrieve it. So, at what point would he need direction? If Phineas was punished for giving him direction. Anyway, we're just gonna keep going. That was like a whole 10-minute whatever. But Phineas was a seer. And that part, I mean, maybe besides telling the Argonauts how to. Because I feel like I've seen or read, not seen, obviously. I feel like I've read more of the seeing of Phineas. A seer king. Blinded because he had shown Phrixus the way. That is so weird. That is very strange. And I feel like, well, we'll see if it takes us anywhere. Give me a lightning rod, something I can use as a channel. Raoul called above the mayhem. Nodding, Phineas drew a copper leaf arrow from his emptying quiver and shot. Interesting. So the lightning rod was the arrow. Sagittarius is an archer. Thunder often accompanies lightning. Sagittarius was the thunder speaker. It's right there. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter that has seer-like properties. Next is the plains. I feel like I get a lot of full art land cards here. Oh, there's a mouse here. Or a little critter. Little critter guy right there. I wonder if I can get this to focus here. Maybe not. Oops. This feels like the aftermath in some way. Next, the Valley Flame Caller, which is a lizard warlock. If a lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 instead. Well, that's another night of research spoiled. Claire, the Batfolk astrologer. Oh my gosh. This flame caller, there's something going on in the sky. because of the conduct electricity, the arrow used as a lightning rod to call the thunder down from the heavens to the earth. And then with this flame caller, it's calling down like a meteor shower. Both of them, the element of fire. Um, and then it's like there's this rabbit in the plains that is like very much so different. Um, there's something here. Another night of research spoiled because the astrologer is looking at the stars, observing the stars. But with the call of this meteor, like this is something that wasn't, it's not naturally occurring. Um, because like those meteors, like this isn't one of your Perseids or Leonids or whatever meteor showers that happen every now and then. This is one that's called by this flame caller, almost like an eclipse. If I know, like during a, because I read that during eclipses, there's a lot of research that people do into things that can only be observed, particularly during a total eclipse, because that's the only time that it's going to be night during the day. That's the only time the moon is going to block out the sun. It's the only time that certain phenomena that happen during the eclipse can be observed because, again, it only happens during the eclipse. And there was a show that I was watching, and I guess they weren't looking for a golden fleece, but they were seeking passage to the land of spirits. And there was a gateway that only opened up through riddle, whatever the riddle was, during the eclipse. And so they were asking, they were kind of sort of on a time thing. Oop. Kind of sort of on a time thing. Like they were pressed for time. So someone like eclipsed the sun. They used their magic to eclipse the sun to grant them passage. And to the um they had to the land of access to the land of spirits was governed by myth, I guess you could say. Not rumor, more so like myth. And in there's a character that like reincarnates after 2000 years. So in his time the myth was different, so the way to get there was different. So first they had to research the myths because all spirits are born from like a folk tale, a myth, a belief, or whatever. They had to research the new way to get there, and it was the eclipse. So he summoned the eclipse, and it worked. So maybe this is something about like a sped up timeline. Now, what is concerning? I feel like concerning is a really good word. Oh my gosh, and that was during the eclipse. I was just using it as an example of a forced phenomena. Um, one of my friend's daughters, I think it was the night before the solar eclipse, had a dream about, it was kind of a doomsday type dream. And at one point, they were in an old house. They had gathered their family back together, and they were in an old house with an exposed, like there was no roof. And they looked up, and she saw like meteors or something like streaking across the sky. And when I saw this card of these meteors like streaking across the sky, I was like, oof. But recently, that was again like around the eclipse, so in April, months ago. And then she shared someone's Facebook Live with me where it was a woman who was crying because she had just woken up from a dream. And she said basically, she didn't go into a lot of detail, but she said that she had a dream that the Spirit of God was like departing from the earth. And I'm like, what does that mean? So we just out still down here with no God, no divine. We live in raw, like you know what I mean. But anyway, she like briefly mentioned something going on with the sky, and it was parts of the dream that she was sharing that kind of matched the dream that my friend's daughter had, and so she sent it to me, like, and I'm like, and so, but when I see this in the sky in this card, the flame caller, I'm like, oof, what does it mean? I don't know. Next is the Harvest Right host, which is a rabbit citizen. Whenever Harvest Right host or another rabbit you control enters, target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Then draw a card if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn. Many paws grew this. Ew, excuse me. Many paws grew this feast, and many paws should share it. This is so weird because it's another rap. Like it's this rabbit light. I call it light. It's just basic. It's this like rabbit light energy here that's very like cutesy, very demure. These rabbits were very mindful. Those who, you know, like many paws prepared the feast, many paws should enjoy and partake in it. You know, there's no corporate billionaire activity here, you know, where everyone goes to creating this thing, but one or a few people massively profit, you know? Like it's a feast that was prepared by many, it should be enjoyed by all. Every other card, but then we have whatever this is going on like every other card. And I don't know if that's like because the last time I opened up one of these booster packs, it was that energy that came back out of there being like an ambush, there being pitfalls, there being the ravine raiders that are lurking, that are waiting in the valley. But those are paths that no one was taking. Those are paths that whoever the reading resonated for, like they weren't taking. So it didn't matter if the ambush was there. It didn't matter if like this war or whatever this is was breaking out because that wasn't an experience that someone was going to have. And so it's almost this like alternate telling of events, these alternate pathways, which would align with the reading day before yesterday, because I don't think I went live yesterday. The one where it was like there was the first path of judgment, but then there was like the sacred word that could be spoken to produce a different path. It's almost like this is that default pathway with the judgment and stuff, and then this is like that alternate pathway with the other judgment because of the sacred word that was spoken. Because we've done whatever the divine has been instructing us to do, there's a certain not there's a certain like a whole class of experiences that we're not going to have. Maybe at one point the world was and it could still be honestly because of what's happening in the world, um, but maybe there are events that have been set in motion that can lead us down a different path where things don't escalate even more, which leads to potentially the beginning of the end. Almost like it's not too late. There have been many things done that can't be undone, things that should never have been done, but it's not too late to prevent everything from being destroyed beyond salvaging. And maybe again that plays out to how one day it was the fiercely loving mama bear, and but the next day it was when destruction goes too far to the point where nothing can be sort of salvaged. Next is the Beauregard mentor. We got another mentor, and it's not the Seaglaive one. It has trample. Beauregard mentor's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. On your pause, I've been fighting in these fields for more seasons than you've had hot dinners. This is a new row, by the way, because I'm using this teeny table. So there's going to be like 6 cards in a row. But the first card in the first row is where I have the booster pack face down. So eventually, when I play all the cards, that spot will be blank. What I'm what immediately catches my attention is there's no specifier of what kind of creature you control with the Beauregard mentor, because usually it's like this one card, right? It was lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon, or it'll be like warriors or clerics, or like it'll be something specific. But this Beauregard mentor teaches all, and it's the light of life. I say the light of life because it has both light and earth or life. You see the two symbols. And it's interesting that that mentions hot dinners, and this harvest right host mentions pause and feast. On your pause, many pause. This feast and many pause should share it. This is almost like the same person. But this is the one like when it's time to enjoy the feast, it's this one. And when it's time to train the next generation, it's that one. So maybe that speaks to an ability to be multifunctional, adaptable. Um, this also implies a time of peace. I've been fighting in these fields for more seasons than you've had hot dinners. Like, because of the comparison, it feels like this is in a time of peace. If it weren't, it would be like, I've been fighting battles since you've been fighting battles or whatever. You know, I've fought in more battles than you, more wars than you. I have slain more than you have, whatever. But the comparison is to hot meals. Hot meals, warm beds, cozy living. Next is stocking the pantry. Okay, so whatever this was, hopefully that's it. New row, new whatever. Whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, put a supply counter on stocking the pantry. You can remove a supply counter from stocking the pantry to draw a card. And this art style is very, very similar to the rabbit token. Sorting the seeds from the nuts. Squirrel folk expression on unnecessary details. They got expressions and everything in here. Sorting the seeds from the nuts. What's the difference? Well, I guess I'm thinking like acorns, which are tree seeds, and not like. Wait, maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is that there is no difference because there are acorns here. Sorting the seeds from the nuts. It's an expression that means dwelling on unnecessary details, like what does it matter if it's a seed or a nut or like a fruit or whatever? Like they've all got seeds in them. Just put them in this. But also, it's not lost on me how the queen that wanted Hel and Phrixus to the stepmother that wanted them to not be around anymore, how she burned the seeds, claiming that it was some kind of curse. And when an oracle was consulted, she bribed the people who were sent to the oracle to say that the children must be sacrificed. And somehow the person that led those children to safety ended up punished. Phineas, when he gave Phrixus directions. But then his brothers in law on the ship broke the curse. And they didn't even have to do anything, really. They just chased after the harpies. And then they were approached by Iris, and she was like, they're not going to torment him anymore. Like, let them go. And they let them go. Maybe that's the. Because again, going back to, I guess, the last booster pack question mark, I'm pretty sure it was on like when these cycles stop, when they end, and when we just have to allow the future, allow a better future to be enough. It's almost big, like let your happiness be your revenge or whatever that thing is that people say whenever things don't go right and there's a nasty breakup or whatever. Let you moving on, being happy, whole, fulfilled, healed, be your revenge. Which almost plays into a certain element of forgiveness, where it's just like releasing someone and something and prioritizing or focusing more on moving forward. She burned seeds, and here is stocking the pantry. Next, Harnesser of Storms. We got this otter wizard. Did somebody? Yeah. The Valley Flame Caller mentioned otters. Otters are like water folk. So it's interesting that they're associated with fire. Whenever you cast a non creature or otter spell, you may exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. This ability triggers only once each turn. She feeds and powers her entire village. Oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you. I was so scared when I saw another fire card. I was like, it really feels like all of that doom and gloom, war and destruction. Like that was a different whatever. Because we got it together. We wisened up. You know? And then I see this. Well, when I saw. I was nervous because it was fire, but something about it seemed not like, look at it. And maybe it's because it's an otter. I don't know. She feeds and powers her entire village. She uses that lightning to power the village rather than using that lightning to rain death and destruction upon her enemies. Oops. And it almost gives me, it's very the Berserker, when the Berserker was coming out, and how um, the old Berserker channeled that to throw themselves in a frenzy and be beasts on the battlefield that sometimes couldn't differentiate between friend and foe. So, but it was like a new Berserker energy where it wanted to be used, channeled in a different way. And there was a whole few readings that came out with that, none of which I particularly remember. Besides, it was like the four, I think it was the Four of Swords. It might have been in the Runic Tarot. The one who was like in the woods or in a forest with the fire, and the wolf was like curled up next to her. And then there was another one where like someone was berserking anyway. I don't think capital I versus EYE was about the berserker, but it could have been. This is her using that same what could be used for destruction. She's using it generatively to power the village. Oh my god, I was so nervous. So nervous. And to feed the village. So far, 3 out of 6 of these are talking about food. More seasons than you've had hot dinners. You have stocking the pantry. And then this harnesser of storms that feeds her village. Are we in a storm year? Is it not a blue lunar storm year? Let's see. It's not in here. Let me see if I can find it. Oof, right? I'm just playing. For some reason, I thought I had it bookmarked. Where are my bookmarks? How do I get to my bookmarks? That's not how I get to my bookmarks. Is it over here? Bookmarks. I don't have it bookmarked. Is it in the reading list? No, I really thought I had it bookmarked. I was so sure I had it bookmarked. That's fine. I was a fool. Let's see. Mayan year 2024. I'm pretty sure it's a blue storm. Oh, this is okay. I need to put in. Really, I feel like when I put in Mayan, they give the dream spell that they gave the Mayan. I'm looking for the dream spell, please. The Senor Aguiles. I don't know how to. That might be his name. It may not be. Go to July 26. Blue Rhythmic Storm is the thing this year. And then here's the Harnesser of Storms. So within from July 26, 2026 to July 24th, 2024, Did I say 26, 2026? From July 26, 2024 to July 24th, 2025, we have this opportunity maybe to not end up on an even worse timeline, to make some things right, and to at least initiate, to start a path, to start on the path to peace for all. Because again, it's so weird. This is, I think, the only card, one of the very few cards that I have that puts no restriction on the creature, or any creature you control, be it bat, rat, mouse, or otter, lizard, rabbit, bird, or fish, dragon, any creature. Which is interesting because then it's like, well, who is this Beauregard mentor? Next, we have Heaped Harvest. Oh my gosh. From the Harvest Right host to Stocking the Pantry to this Heaped Harvest. Like, really getting stuff. I got the. I was so nervous coming into this. And then I saw those cards and I was like, ooh. When Heaped Harvest enters, and when you sacrifice it, you may search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When you sacrifice Heaped Harvest, you gain 3 life. So one can travel all of Valley and never eat the same meal twice. Like, you see the seeds from the stock in the pantry. There's some veggies, I think, from the harvest. Like, that is where it all comes together. And you can travel all of the valley. That's where it's almost like now it's safe to travel that valley. There's no ravine raider here waiting in the bushes to snap up some poor unfortunate rabbit folk just trying to do whatever. I'm loving this, especially this row. Next is the veteran guard mouse. Who is that fire? Wait, we've seen this veteran guard mouse before, haven't we? This fire and light. Yeah, we did. Mouse soldier. Whenever it becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time, it gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until the end of turn. Plus, you can scry 1. Veteran Guard Mouse, Beauregard Mentor. And then Dire Downdraft. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets an attacking or tapped creature. The target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Quickwings Elite Flyers were more than capable of navigating ordinary storms, but Dragonhawk storms were anything but ordinary. This is the last card, so the 3rd and the 6th card in this row both mention storms. Dragonhawk storms were anything but ordinary. The year of the blue rhythmic storm started in the year of the dragon. And it's gonna end in the year of the whatever comes after the dragon, the tiger. I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe Google knows. Or Siri, because Google is up there. Hey Siri, what is the Chinese New Year 2025?
2025 is the year of the snake. Specifically,
the snake.
Earth Snake.
Earth Snake? Ooh.
This answer is from...
Wow, Siri got specific. I didn't expect that. I was half not expecting to even get Year of the Snake. Okay, cool. So we go from the Year of the Dragon to the Year of the Snake. The snake is the dragon that's lost its wings and legs. Or I guess its ability to fly. Because, well, no, they still have legs. It's lost its legs and its ability to fly. I don't think Chinese dragons have wings, but they do have legs. So, it's almost like for a creature that has attacked, is attacking, or has used a spell, it's easier to send this to the top or bottom of the library. It removes it from play. This dire downdraft, it's like it's something that doesn't even allow for offensive energy. Creature like it again, it removes them from play. And who decides if it goes to the top or the bottom? Target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. And then you can see Dragonhawk up in the sky. Like, what do you think you're doing? And this Quick Wings elite flyers who more than capable of navigating ordinary storms. Maybe that's like, when we are used to being able to spin a yarn, spin a tale, spin a narrative, and make ourselves appear innocent for one, or to try to justify something for two. In previous times, maybe it would have worked, but the world isn't what it used to be, and people aren't who they used to be. And there's so much information out there that it's easier to see the truth of things and for us to educate ourselves on what the truth of things really is. And so stuff that can fly ordinarily within this time, maybe specifically, it's like, no, not buying it. Mm-mm. Then we have the Rush Shield Rampager, who we've seen before. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Now, when this came out before, there was at least one. We got the power on the table. Well, there's a 1/1 rabbit token. But besides that, power 3, power 3. The Harnesser of Storms is power 1, power 3. And then the Beauregard Mentor, the more. So if there is at least 2 creatures on the side of the Beauregard, if there's at least 3 creatures on the side of the Beauregard Mentor, does it count? Yeah, because if you control Beauregard Mentor, then that's 1. So if it has at least 2 more on its side, then it can block this Rush Shield Rampager. Offspring, you may pay an additional 2 mana as you cast this spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. So that Rush Shield Rampager can generate more Rush Shield Rampagers for an additional 2 cost. So instead of 3, it would cost 5 plus Earth. I guess it depends on where this Rush Shield Rampager comes from. If the progenitor of the Rush Shield Rampager line started before this piece had settled in, then that's when it would carry, even in times of peace, hatred. And then eventually, at some point, the mask would crack and it would come pouring out. Now, it is the strongest card on, like, if we're not counting creature tokens, that's one, two, three. I'm counting. Maybe I shouldn't count the flame caller. Who am I counting? The Harvest Right Host, the Burrow Guard Mentor itself, the Harnesser of Storms, and the Veteran Guard Mouse. So that is four. It would be able to. It would evenly match the Rust Shield Rampager. And then there's also the Dire Downdraft, that if ever the Rust Shield Rampager were to act on whatever, it would be returned to the top or bottom of the library. And the top or bottom, it feels like it depends on almost severity. Like, if you put it at the top of the library, the very next time you draw a card, it's going to be that card. It's going to be right back. If you put it at the bottom of the library is like the deck. You're going to have to go through the whole deck before you get back to it, unless you shuffle it. Now we have Psychic Whirl. Target opponent discards two cards. Then, if you control a rat, surveil two. Look at the top two cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on top of your library in any order. So you look at the top two cards. If you want it, you leave it at the top, and if you don't, you put it in the graveyard. But it's not like you're taking a card from the middle of the deck and putting it towards the top, you know. You're not searching through the deck. I don't think there are any rats on the table. Psychic Whirl. Oh, what is happening here? My idyllic timeline. Where's all harvest in peace? Agate Assault. It's a sorcery, a fire sorcery. Agate Assault can either deal 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead, or it can exile a target artifact. Only an amateur crushes their enemies with a cold rock. I guess the professionals do it with a hot one. 4 deals 4 damage. This is enough to take out the Rust Shield Rampager. This sits below the Harnesser of Storms. The Harnesser of Storms actually sits below Conduct Electricity. I didn't even catch that. Conduct, and it's all fire. This whole row is fire. And the same is true this one. What? But this one is fire and light. The Veteran Guard Mouse brought light to the fire. Wow, I didn't even catch that. But it becomes a fire that is used to protect, a storm that is used to power. So it feels like at this point, this Agate Assault is enough to stop the Rust Shield Rampager. The Dire Downdraft doesn't even necessarily have to be invoked. Only an amateur crushes their enemies with a cold rock. What's the difference between hot and cold? I don't know. And it would destroy this creature. So you would exile it. The Rust Shield Rampager would be exiled. Maybe that speaks to, like, there's a fluidity between timelines. And so we could just as easily slip into a circumstance, a series of events, a situation that's very, it moves towards a direction of peace and fulfillment for all. But we have to, like, check ourselves. And so if we become a hindrance to or unaligned with that, then we slip right from that and we slip right back into that timeline where Valley Flamecaller is raining down those meteors. And it's like, how many times have you been in a situation where it's like everything was going well, and then one day there was an argument or this or that, and then everything just fell apart? You know, I thought we were like getting past it. I thought we had whatever, and then it blew up and it ended. I thought that we had made enough changes that we weren't going to be shut down, but somebody was laundering money when we were being like investigated already, and they were still doing whatever, so then they shut us down. And we really thought that like we were going to get it together, but it was like, man, you couldn't keep it together long enough. I'm going to look up agate. Agate meaning, because I don't know anything about stones and crystals. Spiritual meaning of agate, known as the stone of balance and harmony. Agate is widely used for its ability to bring emotional healing to mind, body, and spirit. It makes sense of the madness that we deal with in everyday life. Agate can bring information deeply rooted in the subconscious to the surface and rebuild self confidence. Crush them with agate, crush them with emotional healing. An emotionally healed mind, body, and spirit. Ooh, that's like when you get, I don't know, I'm thinking of like monks and like video games that are all like, you know, peaceful, whatever. But just because the monks are of peace don't mean that they can't, you know, put down the smack down, the beat down. Doesn't mean that they can't enforce a peace. You know what I mean? And it's like you can crush this agate assault. It can crush uh, an enemy and not be moved from their physical, mental, spiritual peace. It would have no qualms. Last card is the Waxwing Witness. It's a bat cleric. It's a bat cleric that I feel like isn't like that other bat cleric that was whatever, this star, whatever. Whenever you gain or lose life during your turn, this is a light bat cleric rather than the dark bat cleric we had before. Whenever you gain or lose life during your turn, Waxwing cleric gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So every time you gain or lose life, it gets more powerful. Batfolk clerics consider the cycle of light and darkness as a sacred allegory of life and death. And there's some kind of like dark light, something happening between the wings of this Waxwing Witness. The Waxwing Witness is in the same row as the Plains, the Heaped Harvest, and yeah, it has the Plains and the Heaped Harvest. We get the Waxwing Witness. The Plains do look, again, that's why it kind of felt like this was the aftermath of whatever conduct electricity was. Because it's not barren, but the Plains are like not as verdant as they could be. But we go from that Plains to the Heaped Harvest because of intentional effort. Not only because of intentional effort, but because of what is done to preserve that peace. And being healed, being whatever, doesn't mean agate assault. It doesn't mean that you can't protect your peace. Anything worth having is worth protecting, especially peace. And there are times when, be it people, be it situations, that are not interested in peace. Like that's what's carried through generationally through the offspring of the Rush Shield Rampager. There are people who don't want peace. Maybe it's because the trauma or injustice was severe enough. Maybe it's because they like chaos and warring and violence. And this is almost implying like there is a place for people like that. There is a place for situations like that. And that place is not whatever this is. You get your agate assault if it's uh if it's within 4 damage of being whatever, or it can deal 4 damage regardless. Or you have your downdraft. You have this dragon hawk that will whip up a storm and just blow out, exile, whatever would threaten this. So this was actually gorgeous. I was afraid after the first two. I kind of want to pull. I'm just gonna look before and after the otter. I'm gonna look before and after the otter because the otter is the harnesser of storms. And I'm gonna look before and after the dragon because of, I mean, it's dragon hawk, but I'm only gonna look. I'll do both. What time is it? I gotta go to the gym. It's already been an hour. I was so nervous at the start of this. Partially because I really was not in the mood to be. Like, if it would have came out fierier, more fiery, that's what it would have been. But as it is, I'll take it as it is. Eagle and the Bumblebee were the last two cards. The Dragonfly at the bottom. I didn't mention. I saw a short or a video. It was a video on my feed about the marvel of dragonflies. We came out of the gym, I think the day before yesterday, and we saw something that was like flying around. And I was like, is that a dragonfly? And then today, I think it was on someone's story, like a dragonfly had landed on the back of his head. Who am I looking for? I'm looking for the dragon, the hawk, and the otter. Is that the hawk? Wait, I didn't pass the dragon, did I? No. The hawk is in between the gazelle and the peacock. I'm trying to remember what I'm looking for. The otter is in between the black egg and the cheetah. That's the harnesser of storms. Then the dragon is in between the lamb and the elk. It's interesting. Water is the only element that is not by the dragon. Now, Eastern dragons are creatures of water. And since we're looking at like the Chinese New Year, we're talking more about an Eastern dragon. A lot of them. Maybe not only creatures of water, but I feel like there's a huge association with water. This is so interesting. How they mirror or reflect. The card on the left, well, to me, it's flipped. How the one on one side, they're both looking straight forward, and on the other side, they're both looking out in the same direction. The peacock and the elk are looking in the same direction. The gazelle and the lamb are looking in the same direction. This is air and fire between the peacock and the elk, and air and earth between the peacock and the elk. And then fire and earth between the gazelle and the lamb. The otter is a creature of water, but there's no water on the table. It's all. Well, water is the only element that's missing. Harnessing the storm is the black egg and the cheetah. It's almost like a truth that is yet to be hatched. But once it is quick. It's almost like how truth can like it's almost seeing like truth like tear through people. But it's like let's say you have people who are gathered and they are upset or so convinced of something and they're like fired up. And then there's someone who goes before the crowd of people and they speak a truth that just like it's almost like it sweeps people from under their feet. It cuts at the very foundation of the belief that they've built up to be justified, enraged, upset about whatever, like whatever reason they've all gathered, and then they're all just like one by one. More, I mean, they speak in a way that it's simultaneous, but how it just like tears through the crowd, like what the truth is, and it's like what, like it's not what we thought it was, and then depending on what was done the reaction can be more or less visceral, right? Or, yeah, because it's this berserker energy again. And like the harnesser of storms is doing something with this that was only seen as destructive. But the harnesser of storms is using it to power an entire village. This one harnesser can power and feed her entire village. And it makes sense because of like the large scale or the power, the potential of impact of this negatively or destructively. But then it's like you're telling me that like we don't have to do whatever to get whatever, and it's like no, and you never had to the whole time you thought you did. So you can still make whatever choices and decisions you're going to make, but no, that you have options, you have other choices, that you were misguided, or there was a little bit more to the story than you thought. But also at the same time, it feels like as it tears through that crowd, it can so swiftly swing the pendulum back in the other direction. Because it's almost like it was so easy for something to occur, to happen, or to be so firmly rooted because the truth was not known. And the hawk and the dragon hawk, people who are not even people, energies that are whole and are internally radiant and that can sit in the power of that. And then the dragon, it's like shedding old wisdom. Because from the elk to the lamb, the antlers of the elk symbolize like wisdom and the number of years. It's something, I don't know. But the lamb is like bald headed. And it's almost like things that aren't even needed, you know? Maybe we thought we needed it. But again, something about that visceral truth. it's that visceral truth that just the antlers, like there's a herd, antlers just start popping off, dropping like flies. I'm gonna find one of these. Oop, 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 oop. Then it's gym time. Who is Jim? James. It's time to go to the James. So I can work out. Exercise. So I can exercise. Workout, I don't know. Exercise for sure. If there's a difference. It feels like there's a difference. I wouldn't say I work out. I would say I exercise. I don't know. When I think workout, for some reason, there's a connotation of like weightlifting. Or like strength training or something. But when I think exercise, it's like anything, you know? Well, no, I feel like when I think exercise, there's almost more a connotation of something like cardio or aerobic. Like walking, running, swimming. When I think exercise, I think stuff like that. When I think working out, I think something with weights. I don't think there's necessarily that much of a whatever. What did it say? Oh, it's literally at the bottom of the deck, stocking the pantry. I was going to look for this saying. Sorting the seeds from the nuts. Like, okay. I'm gonna keep going until one of these flips over, falls out. I mean, there's only a handful. I said I'm gonna keep going, so I'm just gonna keep doing this, I guess. Oops. I was gonna try to speed up, but I ain't trying to pin the cards. How long do you think I'll be sitting here? Three cards, four cards. Stocking the pantry, dire downdraft, valley flame caller, and the rabbit. The dire downdraft, I didn't catch that. The dire downdraft, it feels like it can dispel the meteors from the flame caller. It can dispel them or it can direct them. I feel like, for some reason, I feel like this rabbit calls down the dire down. The most inconspicuous of all. In order to keep the pantry stocked. Bottom of the deck is the Waxwing Witness. Is it you? It is. Oh gosh. Trying to put these back. I tore up the foil, so I gotta put them back in the card for it. There's one left. I'm gonna final animal, and then I'm gonna end this. And I will remember to make it public because it automatically privates if I go live on YouTube mobile. I'm too small. Well, maybe I don't think it's the same if you qualify for like the partner program. But maybe it is, I don't know. I know that for me it auto privates when I end it. So if I don't remember, it's not up. The hummingbird at the cut with the dragonfly. The fox and the hummingbird. I feel like the fox and the hummingbird is interesting because I think sometimes we think that we want peace. I think sometimes we think we want resolution, but what we may really want is some kind of vengeance or retribution. We're like, and again, it's like it has to be enough for us to be happy and healed slash healing and moving forward. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's very, I want whoever to suffer like I suffered. And it's, I mean, if that's what we want, that's what we want. If that's where we are, it's where we are. And there are all kinds of, like, the scale of trauma and travesty slides. All right, final animal. Animale. How do I say el animal? El último animal. Maybe. El último animal. Los últimos animales. Sure. Bottom of the deck is the shark. Cards again. The spider, the moth, the vulture, and the earthworm. Still no fire. Oh, water. Sorry. The water of the shark. We got earth, air, air, earth. Earth, air, air, earth. It's, I know it's a moth, but it's almost like there's a caterpillar that gets caught on in a web, and the spider is absent. Maybe the spider isn't even there anymore. Maybe it's like an old web, and there's a moth there's a caterpillar that gets caught, and it can't break free, but it goes into its cocoon, and then how does it produces a cocoon, it goes into the cocoon, and then it emerges free of the spider web. And the spider web could be a chain of events. It could be repeated cycles or a belief about the world, people, and life because of what one's experience has been. And this, like, the moth is the dark butterfly. I think where I said Pardon de Nuit when he was in France and it was a bunch of moth stuff. Papillon de Nuit. Like, this has to be internal. This is us changing more so than our circumstances. Because if we don't change, but our circumstances do, that's how it can become so easy to, like, wait for the other shoe to drop or to have to not be able to trust that things have changed. Almost like being shown something different is just dismissed. We can think of it as exceptions to the cold, harsh rules of life rather than the divine life, the conspiring of things showing us that there is more to life than what we've experienced. And then there's the vulture and the earthworm. Both the vulture and earthworm give me like composting energy. So I just thought about this yesterday, and I don't know why. Maybe I saw like a moth or something. No, it was the dragonfly. It was when I saw the thumbnail for that dragonfly video. Because I know that there are some caterpillars, I think, that when they shed as they grow, they eat the old skin for its nutrients. And it's like that's this energy here. whatever we allow ourselves to shed or allow ourselves to lose from this dark mindset of how things work, it will be eaten, digested, composted, reused to build that better future or to expand our belief of what's possible, of what our lives can be. But we have to let go of it for that to happen. Or else, I guess the vulture will eat and regurgitate and eat and regurgitate and eat and regurgitate, never able to fully transform, transition those things. And again, like that's internal, that's our own beliefs, our own concepts, perceptions. And then maybe we become like the shark. Under the shark is the lamb. Under the lamb is the dragon still. I'll put these back in the deck like separate. I didn't put them in the deck right next to each other, and then I shuffled it up, and they ended up next to each other again anyway. Now the lamb, or the dragon, is in between the lamb and the butterfly. And again, the lamb was the elk that had shed its antlers. And that's this energy here too. But it's like if the elk shed its antlers and then it was somehow added to the lamb in some way. But there's like this almost restless and relentless energy to the shark. It's almost like the shark never sleeps. It's always moving. Or it moves even in its sleep, some of them. Where just like it makes someone unstoppable. Because they are continuously moving, changing, transforming, composting, and using the nutrients to keep pushing something forward. We saw the moth and the butterfly transformations in light and dark. Cool. So I hope you all have an amazing whatever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey where you find. I hope that you know what it is that you want. More so than I hope you want whatever. I hope you know what it is that you want. Because I think it makes things easier, right? It can eliminate a lot of questions of like, I wanted this and I wanted that and I get everything I want, but at the end of the day, I'm still unfulfilled in some way. Maybe we're going after things that we think we want, things that we think will fulfill our desires, but if we don't even know what it is that we really want, how do we know what it is that we want to go after? You know what I mean? So, anyway. I will catch y'all later. I don't even know if I can end this without like my hand being in the just monster finger. Boom, boom, boom. Tapping the glass.